Thanks for finding us.
You know, so, you know, I tell my, I turned 65. I got teaching. So, I would spend 3 months somewhere longer. Diana's growing to work. So longer. She's a 3 out of 5 reason. So we have to do it. Spend 2 weeks.
Exactly what I think. But we're still going to see it. I actually yeah,
Singh was there yesterday. Kaminsky was there.
Right. So yeah, the young guy. Well,
It seems to take him a week or just to even start getting all the other things. Let's get everything
military honors. I'm going to ask those who are able to rise at this time. If you are currently serving in the military or have been honorably discharged, you may perform the hand salute. Thank you.
Ashir lamalos, esa einai el harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz. A song of ascents. I lift my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. Al yitain lamot raglecha al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yoreach balayla. Adonai yishmorcha mikol ra yishmor es nafshecha. Adonai yishmor tzescha uvoecha me'ata v'yad olam. The Lord will guard you from all evil. The Lord will guard you. He will guard your coming and your going from now and forever. We're here to pay tribute and to honor the life and the legacy of Jack Turoff, Yaakov Ben Chaim. After spending an hour and a half yesterday with this incredible family, hearing their memories, walking down memory lane together with me about Jack's life for 88 years, I have to say that I walked away truly inspired, very uniquely inspired by the love, the commitment, the connection that Jack's family has for each other, for him, the respect, the reverence. And I had deja vu feelings of almost 9 years ago when I met with them in Jack's house after his beloved wife Carol passed away. And it was the same feeling, that same love and connection. What an inspiration. And just looking around the room there yesterday, I felt what a beautiful legacy that the two of them built together. Tremendous. It's hard to say goodbye to a man who lived such a full life, who was so larger than life. And together with his wife Carol, built something so special and so unique in today's world. He was a unique and an accomplished man. As joyous and optimistic as he was as stubborn as well. The Talmud tells us of Hillel and Shammai, two great leaders. Shammai was the stubborn man of truth. Hillel was the flexible one. Jack was the Shammai of the family. Carol was the Hillel. And in many ways, Jack really embodied the beautiful traits of both Shammai and Hillel. He did not have it easy. His father died when he was 7 years old. He grew up without a family to love him in a children's home, but he made up for it, big time. He put himself and eventually his wife through law school. He loved and believed in his family even more than they believed in themselves, which is a tremendous Jewish trait, to give others the confidence to believe in yourself. That was his credo. That's how he lived. He never missed an event of his children and his grandchildren. He never missed a Shabbos dinner table with Avril and David and family. He was the rock of his family. As Hillary told me yesterday, I could never have made it through the tough times in my life without my dad at my side. He would give advice to everyone, whether they asked for it or not. In fact, I'm willing to bet that there is not one person in this room who did not receive unsolicited advice from Jack Turoff. Am I right? He told his kids and his grandkids who they should marry and when, which careers they should pursue. But it all came from a place of deep love and concern, and everyone knew that. He had a tremendous place of concern for his brother Bob. May he have a refuah shalema. Our thoughts and prayers are with him for health. He loved to learn. Jack never missed the last 5 years, until COVID came, he never missed a class at our JFX Friday afternoon class with Rabbi Yosef. He fought ferociously for the truth, both in the class and out of the class. But what his mind, if something was true, if he believed in it, nothing could stop him from going after it. He loved, fought, and believed for Israel, for underprivileged youth, for Russian refugees. He was on the board of the West Side Mental Health Institute. He lobbied against big insurance companies to cover medical costs for children born with facial deformities. If there was a cause, Jack Turoff was there to take it on. He loved to laugh, he loved to dance, he loved to cook, he loved to travel. Several years after Carol passed away, he met Barbara, and he found companionship through her, and the family will always be grateful for the joy that she brought to his life in the twilight of his life. If I would want to summarize the life that Jack lived, it's the words of a text message that he sent his grandchildren shortly before he died, and this is what he wrote. Life is not scary. Face your challenges head on. Those were the words of King David. Gam ki elech begeit salmavis. Even when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear nothing, for the Lord is with me. I'm sure right now Jack will be greeted in heaven by his beloved wife Carol, by his parents, and they'll tell him, Jack, you did a remarkable job with the tools that you were given. And really, what more can we want out of life? Jack lived by that message. To move forward, not backwards, to look up and not down, and to live life the best of our ability with the tools that we have been given. Yehi Zichro Baruch. May his memory be a blessing. At this point, I'd like to call upon Jack's 4 beloved daughters, Hillary, Rachel, Ilana, and Avril, to share some reflections about their dad.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you all for coming. Can you hear me okay? I just want to say that, first of all, before I begin, I'm standing here on behalf of all 4 of my sisters. This comes from all of us. And I want to thank my father and my mother for giving us to each other. I can't imagine not having their love and support at this time. And I feel so incredibly blessed. I love you guys all so much. Dad, how does one possibly say goodbye to someone who is such an enormous part of your life, who you're so deeply connected to in the most profound way? This is absolutely surreal. Our Father's light shines so blindingly bright in our worlds that none of us could imagine that flame could ever be extinguished. It doesn't sound like 88 is a life cut short, but he wasn't 88 years old. He was 88 years young. And anyone who knew our dad knew he was still in his prime. He sucked every morsel out of life he possibly could. Just 2 months before passing, our pops was dancing at his granddaughter Sammy's wedding, the life of the party. And if any of you were privileged enough to watch those dance moves of his, they were really something. He told us all he planned to live to 100. So yes, his feels like an untimely death that leaves us shattered and heartbroken. We cannot fathom a future without speaking to him numerous times a day, hearing him tell us how to live our lives, whether we asked him or not, seeing him dance like no one was watching. We will miss his unique dance moves and his infectious belly laugh. If joy and sheer happiness had a sound, his laugh was it. His zest and passion for life was next level. And 99.999% of that joy came vicariously from his children's and grandchildren's successes and triumphs. When we were sad, he could perceive that when he heard our voices, and he always helped us put our sorrows in perspective. And when we were happy, it just wasn't a complete experience until we shared it with him and heard how excited he was for us. He believed in us so fiercely and pushed us all to be the best versions of ourselves, or what he thought was the best version. I also want to add what an amazing son and son-in-law he was. At the end of their lives, 3 of our grandparents lived in our home, and he took care of them with my mother to the end. We've lost our best friend, biggest cheerleader, toughest critic, and our rock. For a man who didn't have the good fortune to grow up in a loving home with a mother and father, it is even that much more extraordinary that he created our GFOT, what we call our family, which stands for the greatest family of all time. That's the name of our text chain that literally 90 million times a day we get notifications because of the size of our family. We are so intrinsically interwoven in each other's lives. Growing up in the Turoff home was amazing. My parents had 4 daughters in 6 years. They always said it was like having 2 sets of twins the hard way. Our dad had a harem, the only male in a house full of females. Even the dogs were female. As a girl dad and the husband of a strong, accomplished woman, he developed into quite a feminist, always supporting and pushing our mother's success, happy to help from behind the scenes, enjoying my mom in the limelight. I remember when I was a little girl and the phone started ringing more for my mother than for my father, business calls, and he was so proud of that. Dad pushed us all to also strive to realize our full potential. He was a protective father who had a cardinal rule that no boys were allowed above the first floor. And he told us he wouldn't get close to any of our boyfriends until we told him this is the one. He didn't want the boys in our lives to get too comfortable. Ultimately, he fell in love with all of our husbands and said that he couldn't have possibly picked better if he had picked himself. They were sons to him. And even his grandson-in-laws, we're grateful that he got to be there for 2 of my daughter's weddings this year. Both of his grandson-in-laws came to him to ask permission for my daughter's hands in marriage. In our household, there was no husband or wife division of labor. Both parents worked. In fact, as Rabbi Koval told you, he put my mother through law school and then pushed her to realize her own enormous potential. Both did laundry, both cooked, but he did much of the cooking since he was always such a foodie and a tough critic. As kids, we didn't go to our friends' houses often. Our home was always the one that all of our friends preferred to come to. And so many of them credit my parents for helping to raise them and say they were like second parents to them. I feel like this whole paragraph can come out. Avril's at it. Okay, Abe.
You're welcome.
He flew to both mine and then Rachel's bedside when we were in college to take care of us, make us soup, and nurse us back to health. He was Avril's biggest groupie, going to all of her gigs until 2 in the morning and dancing all night. He was Ilana's. Ilana worked for him briefly before jokingly telling everyone she fired him. That was the kind of loving father he was. Dad was a big brother through Belfair for many years. And we used to have underprivileged kids from the inner city come spend summers in our home through an organization called Friendly Town. He sat on many boards and felt a responsibility to give back to the world. He told us that if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. He didn't just talk the talk. He led by example. When the grandchildren arrived, he always planned huge family trips to the Caribbean and Mexico for us all to be together. That is where and when our dad was at his happiest. What amazing memories we and our children have of the umpteen family trips we all took together. To see his face with the joy and pride when he looked at us, we will always miss that. It was sheer love. There was no better papa than Jack Turoff. Each of his grandkids felt like they were his favorite. He took each one of them, all 13, on a special overseas trip for their bar mitzvahs, just he and them. The stories and memories from those trips are priceless. He was present for so many of their school plays, sporting events, concerts, never missed a graduation, came to my daughter's rowing events all over the country. He was always there, and he cared so much. Dad had endearing nicknames for everyone. Hilder Snoop, Bruckle Dawn, Dimple Darling, Ava Joe, Doodles, Pooh, TJ, Jade, Samuela, Cobiana Banana, Jellybean, Salami, Is Adorable, The Man. We are so incredibly proud of that little boy who grew up in a children's home after losing his dad at just 7 years old, forcing him to grow up fast and act as the big man. Watching out for his baby brother, Bob. To say he rose to the occasion is a gross understatement. Well, we don't want to make this about our father's resume, because that truly wasn't what defined him. We do need to mention the role model he was to all of us in showing us that anything is achievable with a strong will and very hard work. Not only did this 7-year-old fatherless boy who grew up in an orphanage go on to work multiple jobs to put himself through college and law school, but he went on to serve as a captain in the Air Force, became a prominent and successful attorney with his own practice, working alongside the kid brother he helped raise. He argued cases before the Supreme Court, setting several precedents, raced thoroughbred and harness horses. One year, he and his brother even produced the official Florida Citrus Bowl. As kids, we had so much fun with him at the track where he owned racehorses. He brought us there on the weekends and taught us how to jog the pacers and the sulkies. It never got old going to the clubhouse and watching our horses, his horses, and often getting to take a picture with him in the winner's circle. He even named one of his horses College Tuition, hoping it would be. After our dear, beautiful, special, amazing mother passed, he was totally distraught. He was so blessed in life to have the second chance at love when he met Barbara, and the two of them forged a beautiful bond. Barbara, our mom would have loved you. We are so grateful to you for making our father's last years brighter. You will forever be a part of our family. He yearned to improve everyone's life however he could, and actually we all want to take a second to apologize if he offended any of you. Please know. We know he did. We tried hard to edit him over the years, but it came from a place of caring so deeply. He didn't always have the best delivery. But he yearned to make and improve everyone's life however he could. He would have sleepless nights if one of us was struggling. he was also so concerned and preoccupied with world affairs and other people's troubles. His daily political posts and commentaries on Facebook were always so passionate. He never lost sleep for himself, not ever. He never complained about his fate. He always looked at the bright side of everything. When he was tired, he kept going, and he said, "I'll sleep when I die." He never lost sleep for himself. He yearned to make the world a better place, and he did. Dad, you left nothing on the table. You lived life to the fullest and never left anything unsaid. We all knew how much you loved us, how proud you were of us, and we know you knew how much we all loved and adored you. You worked so hard your whole life, and while we all miss you with every fiber of our being, you've earned your rest. We know Mom was there to greet you when you left this world, telling you what a hell of a great job you did. Our father told us when he got sick that if things didn't turn out well, even though he was planning a cruise in June to Alaska and a trip to Spain this summer, and he even had a client come to the hospital and was working on a brief. He told us if it didn't turn out well, that he had a wonderful life. His concern was for us, and he apologized for putting us through this. He was a total unicorn. Self-made, self-invented, honest to the core, the real deal. And to sum him up in a few words, which is almost impossible, he cared. He cared so deeply, loved so deeply, lived such a full and joyous life. We all hit the daughter lottery to have been born to this great man. The pain that we feel now is only a testament to how much he was loved. And I wouldn't trade this pain for all the time and love and experiences that we had with him. We love you, Dad. We promise to carry the torch and continue to make you proud. We can't possibly say goodbye to you. Instead, we say, keep on laughing and dancing in heaven until we meet again.
Thank you, ladies. May Hashem fill some of your void with comfort and peace. Amen. At this point, we'd like to ask Jack's sons-in-laws, Mark, Stephen, Kevin, and David, to please come forward to share some memories of their father-in-law.
Well, Hillary said that they hit the daughter lottery. We hit the son-in-law lottery. There's no question about it. And it seems here that the common theme is that Jack lived for his family. I mean, that's what he was about. That's the person he was. And what a great, great human being. And I got to tell you, we've all learned so much from this man. Just a real quick thing here that I had written down. As I said, Jack really, he lived for his family, and he lived the fullest life. And reflecting over the past few weeks, it became clearer and clearer that true wealth isn't defined in what's in your pocket or what you have. And when I say what you have, it's defined in the family that he has. He lived for his family. And I can't tell you how many times throughout my life being married to Rachel, people would come up to me and say, oh my God, you've got this amazing family, all these sister-in-laws, all these great brother-in-laws, all these grandkids and great-grandkids. And you know what? I sat there and I said, you're right. It's incredible what we have. and it really is great. And that's a real true testament to Jack and Carol, putting family first. I was telling Colby the other day, true story. Colby said to me, she goes, you know, I'm his favorite grandchild. I'm like, Colby, that's why Jack, that's why your papa was so special. Every one of them felt that way, okay? And yes, you are special, and you are one of his favorites, but, you know, it's very important. Anyway, that's what made him so special. Jack, Papa, I'm going to miss that large bellowing laugh. Everybody knows that laugh. He would give me the greatest advice and pour into me about how to run my own business. And it was really most important, the special way that he interacted with my children. But really most important, he gave me the greatest gift, and that's his little Reiki, as he used to say, my wife Rachel, and of course my 4 children. And I just want to say, I didn't say it often to him, and I wish I had said it more. I really did love this man, and I wish I could say it one more time. Thank you.
I really didn't have anything prepared, but I was kind of late to the Turoff party. But as they say, better late than never. I had a few father-in-laws before, but Jack was absolutely incredible. I mean, I think Hillary said it all, and I thank him so much for allowing me to have my beautiful, amazing wife to take care of each other and grow old. And he was just an absolutely amazing man. And just as a side note, I don't know if you realize this, but Putin did not invade Ukraine until Jack got sick. So, we're very sorry to lose. Not only is this family sorry to lose him, but the world, and I mean this sincerely, is sorry to lose him. He was absolutely incredible. Just one quick story. I one time made him vegetable soup. I mean, it wasn't any big deal. I just threw things in the pot. And he said to me, "This is the best soup I've ever had." And I went, "Oh, God." I mean, to hear Jack say something, like that, I mean, he didn't have one criticism. So the next time he came to Connecticut, I made him another pot of soup. And he said to me, "You know what? It's not right." So I said to him, "You know what? You're banned. From now on, I'm not making you any more soup." And literally every day, Hillary will tell you, he called me every single day and said, "Where's my soup?" And I'm only sorry that I didn't make it again for him while I was alive. I tried. I came here, made him, it's in the Berk's freezer if any of you want some vegetable soup. But I'm really sorry about it. I love the man. He was amazing, and he produced an amazing family. So thank you all.
I just wanted to recognize Rabbi Yosef Koval. Thank you for being here, one of his many teachers, and for putting up with our father-in-law for all those years. I just wanted to share one memory and one observation quickly. The memory is of a younger version of me when I lived in New York City. I was dating Avril, and I was only a few years into the workforce trying to find my way in the big world. Jack and I were having a conversation about my work and career path. He proceeded to tell me that I was a peon who would have limited impact on the world. Even though I was only a 20-something, he did not like my station, didn't think I was on the right path, and he challenged me to think bigger. It was a brutal and direct frontal assault. Well, the conversation left an indelible mark on me for a couple of reasons. First of all, that was the very first time I met him. Secondly, it was memorable in hindsight because I would come to learn from my brothers-in-law that it was a sign of love and investment. In Jack's own way, he was starting to make the same enormous investment in me that he has made in each and every one of us, because he saw that I was starting to make an investment in his daughter. And in his delivery, however imperfect, was always concealed deep insights and wisdom. That was Papa Jack, as you've heard, and we'll hear a little bit more from others today. And the observation is simply in how he died. It was actually pretty awesome and instructive right up until the end, because in the process of dying, Jack put a huge exclamation point on how he lived, why he lived, and what he valued. It is incredible in hindsight to think about the ride he took us on in the last few months. From a health standpoint, he probably should not have taken that trip to Brooklyn to visit and hold his first great-grandchild. And he certainly should not have gone to Delray in January to walk his granddaughter down the aisle and dance the night away. None of us knew how sick Jack was quite at that point until he returned and days later would collapse and lose his clarity. But Jack knew all along, make no mistake about it, and he had already made the decision at that point that he was ready to trade extending his life for hammering home his and Carol's legacy, for one final lesson about what he valued most, family. He would not miss these events for anything, and the last couple of weeks as he lay dying, the coming together, literally, of an already tight-knit clan for intense bonding, for repairing old rifts, for deepening relationships, a singular, powerful unit amplifying Papa's values. And in the final act, his 4 daughters by his bedside, holding his hand, together, united in love, and taking on the mantle of that legacy. Yes, it was pretty awesome and instructive, and it was just the way Jack wanted it and just the way he orchestrated it. Thank you, Pops. We'll miss you.
Thank you. Before we call upon the grandchildren to share some reflections, please join together as we chant Psalm 23, first in English and then in Hebrew. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar. Binos desha yarbitzeni, al me menuchos yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev yancheni b'mag leitzedek laman shemo. Gam ki elech begeitz al maves, lo ira ra ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha hema yanachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged sorerai. Dishanta bashemen roshi kosi ravaya. Ach tov v'cheser yurdafuni, kol yemei chayai. V'shavti beveis Adonai la'orech yamim. I'd like to ask the grandchildren to please come forward.
Not many people get to have such a present grandfather in their life. I feel so lucky to have had a grandpa who was so invested in my life, loved everything about me, but was also the first person to tell me when I was in the wrong. Papa was the first person to call you on your birthday, to congratulate you on your new job, to let you know you're doing a great job but could be doing X, Y, and Z to be even better, to comfort you,
to hear you out when you just want to complain about literally anything, and most importantly, to let you know that family is everything. Somehow, every conversation we had ended with those 3 words: family is everything. My papa was truly one of a kind. He made you feel heard. Phone calls with papa were part of my weekly routine. I think it's safe to say that no matter how many calls I had with him, it was never enough. But that's just who he was. He was so involved in each of his 13 grandchildren's lives and wanted all of the updates in real time. Our phone calls would go a little something like this. Papa would open with, "Colby and a banana," and then ask me, what's the latest with my job? He'd let me know to get involved in some sort of Jewish organization. Ask me if I'm getting along with my siblings. Tell me to stop being such a flake. And then end with, "And how's your love life, Colby and a banana?" Not to mention, he would have CNN on in the background for the first 10 minutes of every phone call until I'd have to politely ask him to turn off the TV. I'm not going to lie. These phone calls tended to get a little repetitive, especially if you weren't following Papa's path for you. You sometimes honestly felt like these calls were more of a lecture. When Papa was in the hospital a few months ago, I started to make our phone calls more regularly to check in. It started to hit me that someday I won't have a chance to call Papa. Although I loved hearing his voice, these calls were a little different and a lot tougher on me. I'd call hoping he'd ask a ton of questions while giving his words of wisdom on every matter, or honestly just lecture me on anything. And instead I was asking him all the questions. This was when it really hit me. After this first hospital scare, his health made a comeback. It was a miracle. I told Papa a week after he had gotten out of the hospital that I wanted to come stay with him in his 2-bedroom apartment. He lived alone, but he had a 2-bedroom only so that his grandchildren could come and visit. I knew he dreamt of this, so I hopped on a plane and made it happen. My mom and I flew in and stayed with Papa for a few days. Those few days were some of the best memories I had with Papa because I had him all to myself. On this trip, I got to work from Papa's apartment. He also gave me the honor to make his breakfast every morning. On my last day, he specifically asked for an elaborate bagel with zested lemon and light cream cheese. If you've ever made Papa a meal, you know that he'll be the first to tell you what went wrong. I remember he took a bite and goes, "This is good, but not enough lemon." My first thought, who puts lemon on a bagel? On this trip, I told Papa all about my new idea. I woke up one morning and was excited to move to Chicago. I thought Papa would be so excited for me. He always supported my spontaneous ideas. Instead, the next day, he let me know he was awake all night and was so upset with me that I would even think to leave all of my cousins in New York and move to Chicago. I felt so bad because I knew Papa just needed a good night's sleep after the past few weeks he had had. And to think that me keeping him awake after this small comment made me so sick. After reassuring him I wasn't moving anywhere, he was able to finally let it go. That trip consisted of a lot of lounging around. We sat in his living room for a good portion of that trip. The problem was that Papa never got around to buying a couch. He did have 2 really comfortable recliners, though, so my mom and him assumed their spots, and mine was the floor. But it didn't matter. I had my Papa back. The one that cracked jokes, gave me lectures, and made me feel heard. It did matter that Papa kept his apartment at 80 degrees. Although it pained me to see Papa visibly older and maybe a little bit uncomfortable, I held on to every glimpse of hope that he would continue to make his strong comeback. And I remember leaving feeling slightly more positive about things. It wasn't until a few weeks later that I found out he was back in the hospital, but this time not doing as well as he was before. Every memory I had of Papa brought me back to one thing: his laugh. Papa had such a distinct laugh that made you feel like the funniest person in the world. It was warming, comforting, and loud. His big belly would jiggle up and down. Sorry, Papa. I'll miss that laugh, Papa. I'll also miss you dancing with your arms high up in the air and your shoulders pulsing up and down. Saying goodbye to Papa is not easy. I can speak for me and all my cousins when I say that Papa was our biggest cheerleader. He just wanted the best for us and would do anything to cheer us on in the sidelines in real time. He was at every bat mitzvah, every wedding, every big birthday, and every graduation. Although he may not physically be here for the next chapter, I know he's dancing and laughing in heaven with Nana and will continue to cheer us on. Papa, I love you so much, and I promise I'll do my best to continue to make you proud. And most importantly, STAP, stand tall and proud, like Papa always said. I love you more. Colby and a banana.
I've always thought that eulogies were dumb, and for the same reason I hated college application essays and actively resent writing cover letters for jobs. How can you sum up your whole self in just a blurb, let alone somebody else? To reduce a person down to a page feels like a truly offensive task, and an impossible one when it comes to my papa especially. No combination of words could possibly convey the things he's overcome, the countless and meaningful roles he played, his greatest achievements and most defining moments, the lives he touched, and the lessons he both learned and imparted along the way. And every adjective seems to fall short of capturing the true essence of who he was, the scope of his impact, the depth of his love, and the passion he had for life, even in its most mundane moments. Words simply cannot do justice to his caliber, so I'll probably miss the mark, but I'll try anyway. For starters, I think the weirdest part about all of this is that just a couple of weeks ago, he was lecturing me about some job I should be applying for and that connection I should really be networking with. And he also apparently had the perfect boy for me, who, after further investigation, turns out is still in high school. He told me about a great book he thought I'd love, and then proceeded with his typical mountain of questions and follow-ups, from the new bar I went to the night before to the exam that I told him I had. He wanted to hear about the simplicities of my day. He wanted to hear it all. My papa was more alive, more plugged into life than anyone I've ever known and anyone I'll probably ever meet again. And by life, I mean our lives more than anything. My siblings, parents, cousins, step-cousins, aunts and uncles, to the point where we sometimes wished he would just butt out. But as self-proclaimed world's foremost authority on absolutely everything, and being that we were each somehow uniquely the center of his whole world, Papa knew what was best for all of us, and he always let us know. If I remember correctly, he was on his way to the office when we recently spoke. My papa worked until the day he died, if that says anything about him. He literally had a client come meet him in the hospital last week. He was determined in every sense of the word and worked incredibly hard every day. At 88 years old, he was fighting for his clients in court with the same fervor as he had 50 years ago on day one. The routine things that naturally get boring after a while to the rest of us were the very things that he lived for, and he was never jaded by life. He was so enthralled with it that everything was meaningful or inspiring, outrageous or exhilarating. He was moved by the little things, and he saw magic in the most regular of moments. In that way, I aspire to be like my papa, who appreciated life so authentically that he naturally got the most from it. That's not to say he never got fed up, though, because he did, a lot. The apparent title of world's foremost authority on all the things, paired with next-level stubbornness, often manifested in Papa being pissed. He knew the right thing and could not fathom any other way. He was attuned to it all and had something to say about everything, from how I should live my life and you yours, to genuinely wanting a word with Putin just a few weeks ago. My papa was a man of purpose and moved with incredible intention. He had a carefully calculated plan for everyone and was invested every step of the way. It was enormously special and unique. But more than absolutely anything at all, my papa loved his family. And no one loves family like someone who didn't grow up with much of one. So he eventually put his whole heart and soul into creating his own. His family was his biggest joy in life, and he made it known to each and every one of us every chance he got. 4 daughters, 13 grandkids, step-grandkids, and even a great-granddaughter later. He fueled such a network of love that I know we're going to be okay, even though he's no longer here to tell us that. I'm so grateful and proud to be part of the legacy that he worked so hard to build, and the family where cousins feel more like siblings and aunts and uncles like second parents. This is all Papa ever wanted, and he will live on in the love that we continue to show each other. Here's to hoping that I wake up in the morning and this was all just some sort of sick nightmare. That this is not, in fact, the end of belly laughs, Shabbat dinners, unsolicited advice, and all the things I can't even describe that Papa brought and that Papa was. But until then, I'll find comfort in knowing that he gets to be with Nana now, in an eternal haven where I believe we'll all meet again one day. Olam Haba. A place where Nana, Papa, and Pitzel, Puddles, Ozzy, and Chester are currently sitting and laughing hysterically because we have no idea how much better they have it. Papa, your grandbabies loved you more than words can express, and our worlds will never be the same.
Papa was so loved and loved so hard. He used to tell us that his biggest pleasure in life was his family. He would remind us how important our family was and how lucky he felt just to get to spend time with all of us. When Nana passed, Papa took it upon himself to continue on her mission of keeping our family as close as possible. Papa cherished and loved his family more than anything in this world. Papa truly was my biggest supporter and just wanted the best for his children and grandchildren. He would call me for everything, multiple times a day, and he would hang up as soon as the conversation got too boring for him. Papa called to ask me how to change the channel, asked me if I knew where to find a screwdriver in his apartment, and most of the time, just to give unsolicited advice. And I just want to add that I was going through my voicemails and found a couple voicemails that went, "Salami, where is my screwdriver?" Or, "Salami, this is your Papa. When will you be here? I need you to change the channel." Just a few weeks ago, I got a text. "I need to talk to you about something very important. Please call me. Papa." He always signed his name. Thinking the world was ending, I stepped out of class and called him immediately. When he answered, before even saying hello, he went on to tell me that he had a new career idea for me and a new life plan. All I could do in that moment was laugh and tell Papa how much I loved him. I will forever miss his random calls and unsolicited advice. I'm so grateful that I got to be there holding his hand during his last breath to help comfort him and make sure he knew how loved he was. I will never forget the love and support Papa always gave me, and I truly cannot imagine how the future will look without that constant love and constant support. Papa, you will always be a part of my life. I am so thankful that I got to be your granddaughter and for absolutely everything you have done for me and my family. I'm so grateful for the family and the love that you have given me. I'm glad that Nana finally got the hug that she's been waiting for. I will forever love you and miss you, and I miss you so much already. Love, Salami. We all know your favorite grandchild.
On that note, I really not great at this stuff, but I'll say a few words. There's really nothing I can say to sum up the special bond I had with Papa. And he would call me several times a day, every day, up until I had my daughter, because then he only called for her. Like Sydney said, he had such an incredibly full life, full of passion. Nothing I could say, no memory, could do that justice. So, what I can say confidently is that I'll do everything to make you proud. I'm going to keep our family closer than ever. And I'll model my own family after the one that I was lucky enough to be born into. And I miss you. Love you.
Thank you. Before we rise for the memorial prayer, Shiva information will be as follows. Today, after the memorial service, until 8:30 p.m., and tomorrow from 6 to 8:30 p.m., Shiva will be at the home of Ilana and Kevin, 6695 Elshire Drive in Solon. Please rise for the memorial service. El Mali Rachamim Shochein Bamromim Hamitzei Menucha Nechona Al Kanfei Hashchina B'malos Kedoshim Utorim Kizoar Horakia Mazhirin Es Nishmas Yaakov Ben Chaim Sheholach Liolamo Bavur Shanachnu Mispalim Bad Hazkaras Nishmaso Began Eden Tehei Menuchaso Lochein Baal Harachamim Yastirehu B'Seiser Knafov Liolamim Vitzror Bitzror Hachayim Es Nishmaso Adonai Hu Nachalaso V'Yanuach B'Shalom Amishkavo V'Nomar Amen. God full of compassion, who dwells on high, please grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence, in the lofty levels of the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament unto the soul of Jack Turoff, Yaakov Ben Chaim, who has gone to his world and for whose memory we pray. May his rest be in paradise, in Olam Haba. May the Master of Compassion bring him under the cover of God's wings and bind his soul in the bond of eternal life. May the Lord be his heritage. May he repose in his resting place in peace. And let us respond, Amen. You may be seated. Pallbearers.